Hi, I'm Paul Diamond, editor of Vistage View, here with Vistage speaker and profitability expert Dr. Lisa Lang. Dr. Lang has a PhD in engineering, and she's the author of 2 books, Maximizing Profitability and Achieving a Viable Vision. She gives the Vistage presentation, Maximizing Profitability with Theory of Constraints. Lisa, thanks for coming to our studios today.
Thanks for having me, Paul.
In your speech, Maximizing Profitability, you mention a Mafia offer. What is a Mafia offer?
Well, we don't go around breaking kneecaps or anything, but Dr. Goldratt, who's the author of the best-selling novel, The Goal, defined a Mafia offer as an offer so good that your customers can't refuse it. I then extended the definition to an offer that's so good your customers can't refuse it, and your competition can't or won't offer the same thing. It's also been referred to as an unrefusable offer or a market offer. And at first blush, it would seem that a Mafia offer is similar to other terms you may have heard of, like an irresistible offer, a touchstone, brand positioning, a competitive advantage, a value proposition, or a unique selling proposition. However, when most people are talking about these alternatives, they're actually quite different from what I mean by Mafia offer. They basically take what you already do and state it succinctly and with more specificity aimed at one or few of their customers' problems or gaps in the current market offering. These alternatives can be Mafia offers, but many times they're not. And even so, they're still better than nothing, which is where most businesses start. So a Mafia offer typically requires that you do something different. Make operational improvements, for example, to actually deliver something unrefusable to your customers and something that your competition can't or won't do because they're not willing to or they don't know how to make the same improvements. Most companies offer solutions that solve their customers' various problems or symptoms. With a Mafia offer, we're addressing our customer's core problem, not just one of the symptoms. So in this way, a Mafia offer is a longer-lasting competitive advantage instead of just a positioning.
How do you deliver a Mafia offer in a way that your customers want?
Well, when you have a good Mafia offer and to deliver it correctly, your close rate would tend to increase. So we deliver a Mafia offer different in that usually most Mafia offers are a business deal. So we're going to deliver it as a business deal. And if you do this well, your close rate can go up to as much as 80%, which is not a bad deal when you have control over your sales to that extent. And this makes it easier to grow your business and invest in your business while still, of course, maintaining the ability to deliver the offer.
Can you give an example of a Mafia offer or explain how one was developed or why it qualifies as a Mafia offer?
Sure. This will be the Cliff Notes version, of course, since Mafia offers are typically developed over 3 days in one of our boot camps. But Mafia offers are developed by analyzing 3 things. First, what are or could be your internal capabilities compared to your competition? Second, how does your industry, you and your competitors, sell whatever it is that you sell? And third, we need to understand how your clients are impacted by your current capabilities. Usually your capabilities and your competitors' capabilities are pretty similar. So how are your customers impacted by those capabilities, and how are they impacted by how you sell? Now, Mafia offers are specific to a company, so while an example would not apply to everyone listening, it's a good way to illustrate what a Mafia offer is. I have a client who sells custom printed labels. These labels are found everywhere on just about every product and are considered by many to be a commodity. Their quoted lead times for labels are 2 to 3 weeks, and their due date performance was about 90%. We started by improving the operations, and were able to get lead times down to 2 days and due date performance to over 99+%. Now, sales remained stable during this time, and the company did not lay off anybody even though they had improved their operations. Now, this was significant because their competition had a 2-week lead time, and their due date performance was in the low 90s. Once we had made that operational improvement, next we looked at how the printing industry sold labels. They used a price quantity curve. Basically, the more labels you order, the less you pay per label. And if you only want 1 label, of course, the price is very high. Then we looked at how their specific customers purchased and used the labels, because an offer is only a Mafia offer if it is unrefusable to your specific customers. In this case, their customers were regional-sized food and beverage manufacturers. One customer, as an example, was a coffee roaster, who roasted many different varieties of coffee and sold them in several sizes, so they needed about 100 different labels. Now, when they looked at the price quantity curve, they decided to order what was equivalent to 6 months' worth of labels. To decide how to spread their quantity of labels, all 100 that they need, they had to forecast how many labels would be used over the next 6 months for each variety of coffee and each size bag. Now, their forecasts were always wrong, as most forecasts are. That's the one thing we know about a forecast. They ended up with too many of some labels, while at the same time stocking out of labels for fast-moving coffee. We know this was happening because we would get frantic calls, the label company would get frantic calls from customers who had stocked out of labels. Now, at the same time, they would ask customers when they called, oh, by the way, we noticed there are certain labels that you haven't ordered in over 6 months. Would you like to place an order for them? They were told, no, just send me what we're out of stock of. We have enough of these other labels for our grandchildren. They ended up with too many of some while stocking out of others. Now, we also found that their marketing departments felt very limited because they could only change label designs every 6 months after they had worked through the 6 months worth of inventory. So we took all that into account and developed the following Mafia offer. Basically, we said, Mr. Customer, don't give me orders. Your orders are based on your best guess of what you might need. We put that price quantity curve in front of you and force you to have to guess how many labels you're going to need of each variety of coffee in each size bag over the next 6 months, and the forecast ends up being wrong, and how could it possibly be right? Instead, tell us every day how many labels you use. If you'll do that, we'll guarantee on the one hand that you will not need to hold more than 2 weeks worth of inventory instead of the 6 months that you have. And this will, of course, allow your marketing department the flexibility to change labels as much as they want. Will also reduce your risk for obsolescence. Now, at the same time, we'll guarantee that you won't have to hold more than 2 weeks worth of labels. And if we ever stock you out, if you ever go to the shelf and not have the label you need, we'll pay you $500 per day per label. Now, that's a Mafia offer. It's basically the best of all worlds for your customer. They get to reduce their inventory from 6 months to 2 weeks. They also get guaranteed availability, backed up with a penalty for late payment. And the competition cannot match this offer. So while it's unrefusable to our customer, it's something our competition doesn't want to do and can't do, because our competitor's lead time, remember, was 2 weeks, and our customers are holding 2 weeks worth of inventory. There's no way they can match the offer and not have to pay the penalty. For us, on the other hand, our lead time's only 2 days. So unless we're not paying attention, we should never have to pay the penalty.
Once a company gets their Mafia offer totally dialed in, what are some of the benefits that they're going to see from it?
Well, one of the obvious benefits is the increase to sales. The difference between a company that has a Mafia offer and one that doesn't, the one that has a Mafia offer can easily answer the question, why should I buy from you? So imagine you had to buy labels, and your choice was the company that has this Mafia offer, or you could buy it the traditional way based on a forecast and have to scurry around when you stock out of something and deal with too much of other things. And let's say that the price was competitive, they were essentially the same price. The obvious benefit is that you definitely answer, why should I buy from you? Because you're going to get the best of both worlds. You're going to get less inventory. You'll have to hold less inventory. At the same time, you're not going to stock out. So that's a pretty good deal. If you have a good Mafia offer, you should be able to answer that question, why should I buy from you? That's the first thing. Second is that once you've created your Mafia offer, it guides the strategy and tactics for your entire company. So in this label company example, they now have this offer. Well, we actually started by creating this offer. That offer dictates some changes that have to be made operationally. For the label company, as an example, they needed to be able to do more setups. To deliver this offer, they were going to have to be able to set up their presses more frequently. And they had to get good at doing these setups. So their strategy and tactics for the operational changes needed actually came from their Mafia offer. It dictated to what level operations needed to be improved. That leads us to the third point, which is that once you have a great Mafia offer, and assuming that everybody in your company loves it and thinks it is compelling and it is going to allow you to sell more, it sort of forces the operational improvements. And it answers the question, why change? It actually gives you a reason to go and make the operational improvements. So we're not doing improvement for improvement's sake. We're doing these improvements so that we can go out to market with this great Mafia offer. In addition, we also see cultural changes. So from the companies who've developed these offers and start to implement them, their culture changes significantly. So, for example, they often celebrate any time they have to pay a penalty, which isn't that often. But when they do pay a penalty, they celebrate it because they just learned something very important about their company. They know the biggest thing, the most important thing they need to work on. They know now where to focus their continuous improvement so they continue to get better and better. And that's a big difference. Of course, if all of this comes together and works, another big benefit is it can recession-proof your company. So again, imagine you needed to buy labels and your choice was between the label company that has this Mafia offer and somebody selling the traditional way. If the price is competitive in both cases, which would you choose? Many of my clients are seeing their sales either remain the same, worst case, in this economy, but many of them are substantially increasing their sales. It's interesting because their competitors, in response to the economy, are laying off people and cutting cost. Well, the effect on that is they get worse operationally. If you lay off people, and now you can't even deliver in 2 weeks, or your due date performance gets even worse, our Mafia offer just gets stronger and stronger. And then, of course, the combination of all of this, the operational improvements combined with a great Mafia offer, leads to huge bottom line results. So if you have excess capacity or you're able to uncover capacity and then you're able to sell that capacity, that's huge leverage. The throughput that you generate goes directly to the bottom line.
Lisa, are there some organizations that it's just almost impossible for them to come up with a Mafia offer? I mean, can a service organization come up with a Mafia offer just as easily as a manufacturer?
Yeah, we've done over 50 Mafia offer boot camps, and 30% of the companies have been service companies. So we haven't really distinguished or made any noticed any difference between manufacturing companies or service companies. I would guess, though, if I had to put a number to it, I would say that about 80% of the companies out there, whether they're manufacturers, distributors, service companies, engineering firms, project-based companies, I would say that 80% of them can probably develop a really good Mafia offer. And again, my definition, unrefusable to the customer, and at the same time, something your competition can't or won't match. So absolutely, it can be done by just about anybody. And I don't know what the actual percentage is, so I'm hedging my bets a little bit by saying 80%, that I don't think it is for everybody. In the 50 companies that we've had through our boot camp, we're batting 1,000. So far, everybody that's come through, we've been able to develop Mafia offers for. But I can imagine a few industries where it would be tough. For example, if you sell insurance, I could probably develop a Mafia offer, but it might be illegal.
If somebody listening wanted more information, do you have a website
Yes.
they can go to?
You can go to www.scienceofbusiness.com, or if you're interested in learning more about Mafia offers, you can go directly to www.mafiaoffers.com.
Dr. Lang, thanks for speaking with us today.
Thanks for having me, Paul.
That concludes my interview with profitability expert Dr. Lisa Lang. This is Paul Diamond thanking you for tuning in to discover new Vistage audiocasts. Have a profitable day.